Good morning, friends. Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal and Adab. This is a very important video today. In the past 2-3 years, many people, more than 100 people have got their Janam Patris made. Now, what is the core behind the Janam Patri? Some people have been asking me, Ronnie ji, recently in Jalandhar, some bungalow owners mentioned, after watching a Janam Patri of mine made for bungalow number 4, survey number 120, that some Mr. I don't know, I'm forgetting his name, there are two brothers. They mentioned that Mr. Das, or they were talking in their association, that this Janam Patri even they could have made, and what is the point paying Mr. Raghavendra Das or Mr. Ronnie Das this bigger amount of rupees 20,000 rupees. Now one has to understand, when a bungalow owner or a resident approaches me, do I know his documents? Do I know what papers is he or she or her holding? No. What is his land record? What is his GLR? What is his sale dates are speaking? So this becomes very important, and I must mention this Jalandhar case. I'll be mentioning some others also. This bungalow, which originally had a survey number and it was bifurcated. Now friends, please understand, this is a division of grant. Bungalow number 4 and 4A, given survey numbers 119, 120. How did I get to know? I only got to know when this Janam Patri was made. And what does the department say in this? That the old grant cannot be divided. So this grant has been divided into how many areas? 0.177 acre has gone one side and 3.05 has gone one side. So now this 3.05 acres of the land is being resumed. So this property now goes down, and it finally, in the Janam Patri, when I read these sale deeds of 1904, I even demarcate that this land after the sale was above 5,000 rupees if it was a GGO grant. It could not have been sold, and that also from a British officer to a British officer, not an officer but to a lady. So we have to understand, and when you dimensionally make this Janam Patri, what is on your left, what is on your west, south, north, you get to know how grant was divided in this case. So there are so many things which are fished out. I hope these pleadings are done by the now consultant of this bungalow, which is facing a resumption case. So there is a translation of a property sale deed. So how division in 1928 without the permission of the government of India was influxed. Now this property is very amusing that in Dr. Ramnath, when he purchased this property, actually, the GLR survey was being undertaken in Jalandhar cantonment, and he refused to sign an admission deed, presuming that his old record was showing that this land was private land. So now this entire case goes from there. So this is what I make in Janam Patri, and then I subject this to the rules of the cantonment CLA, whether cantonment code, whether 1864 to 1924 cantonment code, whether TPA Act, whether it was a lease, all this comes into my Janam Patri. So this Janam Patri ran into some good number of pages, I remember, and I posted it. And this printout was taken out by these brothers. And I hope in their resumption case they pleaded either of some of my points which I had shown in this Janam Patri. So friends, you have to understand, Janam Patri is not a mockery. Janam Patri first is that I would get to know what your property is. Now if I don't know your property, this is the Janam Patri of this bungalow owner. And it is very easy to say when you read some document ki this we could also do. This is the same bungalow owner in Jalandhar who got his entire bungalow demolished. Don't criticize things. Let us all grow positively. If Mr. A from Jhansi is doing consultation, I would expect and I pray to God that he is able to not only achieve a stay order, he is actually able to prove that this is an old grant and is a freehold property. The fight is not to garner a stay. The fight is to garner that this is a freehold property. Stay could have been taken even in another format by even admitting into the fact and going to the court and saying, okay, there has to be a due process of law. So, these people, I don't know why people criticize. Now, I made another Janam Patri. This documents came to me from this bungalow owner. Now, this was an amazing property. I had Mannalal Agarwal's case from Aurangabad. This was another case of the villagers. Somewhere approximately 80.77 acres of land culminating into various khasra numbers or survey numbers given by the GLR. Because there were no survey numbers prior to CLA rules. Who knows this? Where is it written? I specifically want to know these brothers from Jalandhar. Do they know where is it written? That when was CLA rule, when was survey numbers given? There are so many things. Now, when I was making the Janam Patri of this property, this bungalow owner, I remember, had already filed a suit. He had lost his suit in the court way back in 2014-15 of ownership. A freehold property of the Nizam state. I don't hesitate in sharing his documents that yes, he was holding his original documents, but then you need to prove them. This is what I do. This is what I create when I make my Janam Patri. When I culminated this, it was most surprising that I came across a document like this, if people can see it. So what are these documents? This is Hyderabad residency. Now Aurangabad people say was a part B state land which was not a part of the British government, or it was influxed into India way back in 1950, not in 1947. This is what I culminate. Now when I calculated the areas, you will be surprised. I'll just show you his Janam Patri. When I was calculating these areas, the case which he lost, he basically lost on the ground that he could not show his dimensions. What was on his west, what was on his east. How Mrs. Trafford, sub-registrar of the cantonment at that time in 1918, sold this property. So these evidences become very important. So these sale deeds, what is on your north, what is on your south. See, this is how I make these sheets. And then you get to know khasra number so and so on your east, on your west, north. When you dimensionally calculate this, you will be surprised. His khasra number 26, which holds a bungalow, in the GLR it shows only 0.47 acres, and actually in the Jama Bandi it shows 13.11 acres. How come this area from 13.11 became 0.46 acres only? Guys, please, there are many people sitting in Sikandrabad, people sitting in Mau cantonment. There is a lady up there. Unfortunately, Barakpur Mr. is no more. Criticism is very easy. But understand what is this Janam Patri. I would guide you. I guided this man later. Please dig into your such and such records. He's got a sealing order. The bungalow owner, which I earlier discussed, has a resumption order. Now I come to another property. This is this. When I was going through these documents in his GLR, it was an amazing happening. This property, way back in 1927, was converted in a portion from the main area or the total area of the property, which was approximately, I think, 3 point some acres. This property got bifurcated. How it got bifurcated is a question mark. Actual area was somewhere 4.43 square acres, coming on to be approximately, what is the area size written conversion? 1.79 acres. Out of it, 1.25 was given as a grant and the balance was converted into leasehold. Why? Where is the rule written under section 27 of 1899 or 1912 that if a bungalow or an old grant is not forthcoming with all its document, or let's say it has done some unauthorized construction, we will convert that portion of the... Now these people are in touch with me. Now they want their documents to be dug in. Further on, they have various things in their property. Now there was another bungalow owner. Recently I'm not talking of those 100 bungalow owners which came to me. A bungalow owner shared to me an original grant of 1887. That his bungalow number 7 or I think 8 was given a grant in Pune cantonment. Now grants were restricted after 1864. How come a grant in 1887 was cordoned in a bungalow area by the army, Pune army? Absolutely vicious fraud. So this is what I tell people. Now this bungalow owner, his property again originally was 4.75 acres, and to be honest, 8 bighas in Satra Biswa, when we were calculating, we came across a document that says original grant in 1855 was 9.48 acres. This bungalow owner never knew. His mother gifted some part and today he says, I am an owner of 4.751 acres. He didn't know that his original predecessor from 9.48 acres had come down to 6.45 acres. So where has that 3 acres gone? There is a school running across his property, which originally was a part of his bungalow. Sometimes you people are holding your documents, friends. You don't know how to use those documents. You are reading those documents, but you are unable to interpret those documents with the rules laid. See, you cannot prove a document by just producing it in the court. You've got to prove it. I can bring in various documents. I have sale deeds from 1865. Purushottam Das Tandon showed a sale deed from 1845. He lost. Why? So please understand for what I am charging this amount of 20,000 rupees. When I make this Janam Patri, there are people, recently I remember there was a case which we were handling in 2011. This is of Parsanoj Kasoli. A judgment of 1950 of a tree cutting. His original grandfather had filed a suit of declaration that the tree belongs to him. And he lost it in the lower court. He filed an appeal in the session court, and by the time he negotiated and settled with the then MEO, he did not pursue his case of session appeal and it got dismissed in default. So the judgment of the lower court stands. Today that same case was, I think it is today only in the High Court. That case, you will be surprised, the MEO Ambala has tendered that judgment of 1950. That even a tree cutting means that you are a government property. You've taken permission, sanction. What did Ghaswala Pune say? Sanction. So, this is where I work. These are the grey areas where I work. I'm surprised on people sitting in Jalandhar, which is the closest cantonment to me. I know there is a kahavat in Hindi ki charag tale andhera. People in Ambala cantonment don't value me at all. But I don't know if they can see it. It's been 12 years I'm not letting the army use my bungalow. Today I've even managed to get my criminal evidence and summoning to the department, including the station commander in 2012, along with the entire staff of his. You got to fight. It's not easy. Last 150 years, we don't have a judgment. 1911 Pune Ghaswala. Has the bungalow owner from Jhansi who's become a consultant, Has he ever vetted any of these judgments? I was reading a plaint. I was reading his plaint filed in Jalandhar. I was even in the last 7 years, I was reading a plaint filed by a bungalow owner in Landore cantonment. You plead peacefully. He's pleaded fee simple. He's pleaded his old land records. He's brought in his registries. Now, how are those registries which are brought? Are they under the TP Act of 1860? How will he prove a registry under it? By just getting the revenue officer? No. A revenue officer will only prove the document. The contents of that registry has to be proved. Please, if the Landore bungalow owner is watching this video, you have to prove the contents of a sale deed. How are these languages written in my sale deed? Why? What does? Then interpret them with the law. Whether it was Registration Act, whether it was the Governor General orders. I don't know why people in these cantonments are so much bent on divide and rule policy. My association in 2015, I remember now, my working president is no more. He distorted the association. I get envied at times. He started giving a statement that I'll do free consultation. Who does? Free consultancy is not as per the desire. It is as per my choice what I want to tell you. Now, when I'm paid, I make sure that you are benefited with my consultation. I hope this bungalow owner from Jhansi makes the Janam Patri, reads the Janam Patri by just countering the GLR, just bringing Jhansi's 4 GLRs where it is written, and those 4 GLRs are of the civil area. Out of those 2 bungalows, have converted them into private property. So obviously in their GLR it will be written private. So that's not a much big deal. Please friends, please, I request all of you, this Janam Patri is very important. I remember there was a bungalow owner from Bareilly who came to me, was an evacuee property, does not want to deal with his evacuee rights, does not want to dig in because he was a third purchaser from evacuee rights. Now, he doesn't want to go back to 1957 either. So forget about going back to 1927 or 1899. Such bungalow owners will never win. And they will actually make others also lose in their cantonment. They are a shame to us. I'm being very straight and blunt. Some people think under the table, bribing the officer, knowing the ministry, knowing the DG or the PD will not get you anywhere. When it will come to a fight of resumption, believe me guys, nobody will be left. I remember that 2012, Mr. Rajiv Tiwari, the man who was from Agra, was sitting in that meeting. Mr. Kore was there. The Quartermaster General India very clearly said, Mr. Das, next 50 years, not a single bungalow owner. Today people are harping, there is a move, there is a proposal in accession, maybe the bungalow area would go. Where will it go? It will go into the civil area. Good enough. What will happen then? Will the civil area or the state municipality, Haryana or Himachal, let's say Kasauli, will they write private in your GLR? No, they will not. So don't live in any fancy, please guys. Only is that you change your father's name, and yes, we presume that bribing the local municipality or the local MLA or the local administration is easier than to actually look into the MOD. So this Janam Patri is very vital, because we were old grants, never converted into new grants. Thank you. Good day.